Hey, what's up guys, Mike here. Today I want to share with you a super easy natural way to get rid of algae from your aquarium plants. It's something that happens to all of us. It is super annoying, but hopefully this method can help you. So I've just started the rescape of the forest tank, guys, and let's take a little look around here at some of these Anubias plants. They have blackbeard algae all over them. Down here we have some crazy cyano on the hair grass, and it's just a nightmare in here. One of the reasons why we're redoing the tank. We have all this blackbeard algae, and it's crazy. These plants, we don't want to take them and put them into a new tank because that could just help start this problem all over again. Blackbeard algae is a super common algae to have in your aquarium in general, but it's even more common on these slower growing plants like the Anubias. Let's see if we can remove this chunk here and take a little bit of a closer look at it, right? So it's all over the leaves. It can be tough to just rub off, like it doesn't want to come off. It's adhered on there pretty well. One of the easiest ways to get rid of blackbeard algae is to take this plant out and either do a quick 30-second diluted bleach dip or spray it with hydrogen peroxide. Unfortunately, this is a plant that doesn't do super well with bleach dips or hydrogen peroxide. It tends to be sensitive to that stuff, and you have to be very careful. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to take these Anubias plants out, walk over to this bucket, throw them in, and then we're going to leave this in the corner of the room for 2 weeks. Now I know that's a no-brainer to a lot of you guys watching, but to the new people out there that just started the hobby and they're experiencing these problems, I think this could be a beneficial thing for them, so bear with me. But here's the thing, this method does not work for every aquarium plant, guys, okay? If you take stems or anything like that, you do a blackout like this and it can totally kill them off. But the Anubias seems to be really resilient to the light factor, okay? So we can just put them in this bucket, put it in the corner of the room. You can put a lid on this if you want. We probably won't in this case. Leave it for a couple weeks, and we're going to come back and we're going to see pretty much no algae on these leaves, and we're going to be able to reuse them. This method works great for the Anubias plants because they're tolerant to not having that light, but also because, I mean, they're really easy to remove from your tank. It's not like they're planted down in a dirt substrate or anything like that. They're typically always pretty easy to get out of the tank, and just go throw them in the corner of the room in a bucket for a while, and they'll come back algae free. I don't like to do things like a blackout because there's probably other plants in the aquarium that aren't going to appreciate it. You're going to end up with just not a good environment when you turn those lights back on. Everything's going to be probably pretty beat up and not happy, and that can actually make the algae problem worse. So we're also going to do this for the few pieces of boost that we have in here. I've never done this with boost, but it is very similar to the Anubias, so I think we're going to be all good with it. Alright guys, we're approximately 1 week in to the Anubias being here in this bucket in the corner of the room with basically no light. I have my ring light on, that's why the plants are lit up, but this generally just sits in the corner of the room, not a ton of light. And especially the plants underneath here, because we have a lot of them in here, don't get any light whatsoever. But let's do a little quick check on these plants to see how they're doing. There's a little bit of leaf loss on some of the plants. Hard to tell if that happened, you know, when we were pulling these plants out and putting them into the bucket, but it won't be uncommon for them to lose a little bit of leafage. So let's check this out. Now, all of these plants had BBA on them, pretty much all of them. And if we start to look around, we can still kind of see it on the edges of the leaves. It's not dead yet, but it does come off a lot easier. When BBA is fresh and healthy, it's going to really adhere to the leaves and it's not going to come off easily, but as you can tell, I can just kind of rub this off. Now, if I'm just dealing with a few pieces, right now I might just go through and give each leaf a really good rub down and get that off and then put it back in the tank. But because I have so much here, it would take me forever to do that. So we're going to let it sit over here for another week and then check and see if that algae's dead yet. Oh, and if at any point you check this water and it's starting to stink, you can see there's a little bit of turbidity here in the water, but everything smells good still. We don't have any kind of foul, sulfury stench or anything. If it does stink, just go ahead and replace the water and you should be good to go. Alright guys, so it's been a little bit longer than 2 weeks, okay? It's been actually more like 40 days since we put these plants in the bucket. I think a lot of people out there don't like to do things like bleach dips, add hydrogen peroxide, and other things that are potentially dangerous to the inhabitants in their tank. So now you have this method. If you can stand to wait for like a month, now you have another alternative method and it works. We're working on a bunch of stuff here, guys, pardon the mess, but let's check out these plants here in the bucket. Let's pull out like this plant, for example. completely algae free. It has a little bit of, discoloration on some of the leaves where it took a little bit of a hit, but I mean, this plant is all ready to go. You can just pop this back in your tank and it's gonna be just like it never even had algae all over it. And this actually has a boost attached to it. Remember, we threw some boost in here. That's looking pretty good. I mean, we even have like a new growth leaf on there, which is pretty cool. It does look like there is still a straggler there. I don't know how this little tuft survived, but it pulls right off. The attachment of the algae is a lot weaker, and so, if you do go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you will have a lot easier of a time getting that algae off of these leaves. It might just not be completely dead and removed itself from the plant yet. If we take a look at, like this leaf, for instance, let's get this in a tank. Let's take a look at this piece right here. You can see that there's a tuft of the blackbeard on here. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. And it's just gonna pull right off. You can see it's a little discolored. This is hard to do one-handed. Boom, there we go. Off she goes. Somebody eat that. Don't infect the tank. And look, there's a few other areas here where it's still on the leaves, but this stuff is pretty much completely dead. It doesn't take much to rub it all off, and a lot of these pieces are just spotless. This one, for example, looks really, really good. Let's take a look at that under the water. You can see there's only a little bit of leaf decay on a couple of the leaves, but other than that, this plant is perfect. I believe most of this is Anubias nana that we put in here, and you'll notice that a lot of the leaves have stretched out. They've been looking for the light for the 40 days that they've been in the dark bucket, but they're pretty much perfect. It's hard for you guys to see, but if we pull all these plants back and we just look at the water that's in here, you can see blackbeard algae tufts floating around in here. The ones that detached by themselves are looking for somewhere else to be because they did not want to be in here. They wanted to find an aquarium somehow, but there's no way for them to get out of this bucket. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, this is the Super El Natural 100%, no chemicals, no nothing, to get rid of algae. It only works on these types of epiphytes, these super, super hardy plants like the Anubias. It does work on the boost. Proof right there, plant still alive. When it comes to getting rid of blackbeard algae, a lot of people like to overdose with Seachem Excel. That's a proven way to get rid of it. It acts very similar to the same way like when you go in and spot treat with hydrogen peroxide. It just totally destroys the algae, and that of course can be harmful for fish if you don't know exactly what you're doing. It's something that I haven't really done a ton of. I've done it like once or twice in my entire time keeping fish. That is using Seachem Excel, overdosing it to fix blackbeard algae. I'm not going to go into the details of how to do that in this video. I wanted to show you guys this super low maintenance way to get rid of it. It does kind of suck though, because you do have to wait a super long time. So if these are plants that you want to use and you don't want to have them sitting in a bucket for a month or so, then this probably isn't something that you want to do. But if it is, now you know. I think the same method might actually work with staghorn algae as well. I'm going to give it a shot. We're actually kind of in the middle of filming a little experiment here with the forest tank. It did have a ton of staghorn algae. We're about to do some things here to the tank to try and remedy that. That'll be a separate video that'll be coming out here pretty soon. So if you guys are new and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very much. Hit the like button if you like the algae bucket. I know a lot of you guys are just going to be like, this is so dumb. It is kind of dumb, but it works. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.